The Boulder City Sports Network is sponsored by Superior Builders, Inc. of Nevada, building spec residential and commercial with our investment partners for nearly 20 years. Contact Aaron at sbinevada.com for more information. And the I&I Music and Podcast Studio. If you're interested in using the studio, you can contact Dawn at iandimusic.studio. And EV Park, revenue-generating charging stations for apartments, hotels, offices, and short-term rentals. Contact sales at evpark.com to find out how your property can generate a new income stream. Hey there, I'm Don Rodriguez, founder of the Boulder City Sports Network, and I've got some bad news. We were unable to secure permission from the Clark County School District to air the Boulder City High School football games like we did last season. This isn't any fault of the school. As a matter of fact, I want to thank Coach Moore and Mr. Steckelberg and Ms. Wagner for all their efforts in trying to make it happen. The thing is, with Clark County School District, things are set up to happen within the system, and outside of the system, not too much happens. But I'm hopeful that in the future, the broadcast will be back. For now, we continue to produce the Coaches Show here from the I&I Music Studio, and here is your host, Rich Shuman.
BCSN Sports Coaches Show. Week 2, I'm Rich Shuman here in the studio with Coach Bubba, coming to you live on YouTube. Eagle fans tuned in for Boulder City supporters and everybody watching all over the world. Thanks, Bubba, for being here tonight. Tonight we'll break down last week's game. We'll talk about the Sunrise Mountain Miners home game this week and hear from Bubba's Pee Wee squad. And of course, this Friday night, it's our house, our lights, and our town as Boulder City takes on Sunrise Mountain in the home opener.
Yep.
Ready
Sounds
to go?
good. Yeah. I like that you said the across the world. I think we are huge in the Chicagoland area.
Yes,
I know
yes.
that. So
Yep.
like, to all those Chicagoland people, what's up?
Yep, and there's 2 people in Boston watching too, so yeah, we are nationwide. All right, good. Well, how you feeling after traveling up to Churchill County? How's the trip?
Honestly, let's talk about the trip first.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll talk
That's
about
what I
the game.
wanted to, yeah.
Trip was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like we got exactly out of the trip what we wanted to get out of it. I think it's a good experience to kind of bring the team together. You throw everybody in the tight quarters of a charter bus, and you got to get along.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I was really, really happy with the weekend. I thought the kids got along great. I thought there was really genuinely a great bonding experience. Nobody did anything dumb, which you're always worried about on some of these trips, somebody getting in trouble. But they were great. And I think in general, other than the first 15 minutes of football on Friday night, I think it was a very fun trip. I think the kids really enjoyed it. The coaches enjoyed it. It was a blast.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Good. How was the bus ride home did they shower?
They did shower. Yes,
Okay.
it was good. There was a lot of kids. I think we came home with, I think it was less than 20 kids were actually on the bus, and they did shower. I'm not going to go into detail how they showered, but it was a very weird showering experience. They kind of did a one at a time thing in most of their clothes. It was very strange.
Okay, but mission accomplished. They
Mission
were
accomplished.
clean.
It was not a stinky bus. It was
Okay,
actually very refreshing on the bus.
Okay, well let's jump into the game if you
All
don't
right.
mind a little bit. So the final score is 43-6. We lost to Churchill County. Their running back Carson Lenley hit us for 57-yard run and 2 touchdowns, 66 yards on the day. But there's some highlights there from the Boulder City side of things. We had a strong fourth quarter and a tough first quarter. I mean, when you watch the film this week with the coaches, what jumped out first at you?
Well, the first thing, and we can kind of get this out because I got this question a lot from a lot of people on Monday of why would you go up there and play them? So everybody understands, I want to play somebody good at the beginning of the year. The last 2 years we opened up with Valley, and nothing against Valley. They weren't a great team those 2 years, and so we go into that first game and we can kind of do whatever we want. And when week 1 is over, we look back at the film and we didn't get any better. We didn't get tested. We kind of still were able to make mistakes and still get the win. That's not what I want for us, and I told the kids going in the future, I'm going to try and schedule somebody that is better than us week 1, because I think that's the biggest kind of show of this is where we are at. I definitely underestimated their size. Like they were huge.
Really?
And I don't know if that comes across to the people that weren't up there and like watched it on NFHS or whatever. They were the biggest team I've ever seen. And that's with me playing some like 5A, back in my Desert Pines days and stuff like that. Yeah. They were gigantic. And in all honesty, I think they are the class of 3A. I think they are the team to beat going forward. You're going to get a very good Mawapa team, but I still don't know that they're going to be as good as that Fallon team. And it's awesome for our kids to see this is what we need to be. This is the goal. We want to talk about winning a state championship. We need to be at that level.
Yep.
And we're able to kind of see we're not there yet. You know what I mean? And kind of seeing it up close and personal. And it was good for us. Like I was very happy with that. When we went back and watched the film, we did a lot of good things.
Yeah.
It's just when you're playing a team that is bigger, faster, stronger, even if you're doing stuff right, those guys are going to come and they're going to stop you. So like we did a lot of things correct. It's just when you're, 5'8", 160 and they're 6'5", 220, they're going to win those battles. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it was good. The takeaway from it was we did the right thing. And like I've told a lot of people, our attitude during the game and the no quit that we had is something that we haven't had around here in the past. Good. And that was a huge thing for me. When we gave up, 3 plays in a row, they scored and it was a misalignment and then a broken assignment. And then kind of they made a good play on the third one. There was no finger pointing. There was no, you screwed up, start yelling at each other, and then the kids quit. It was everybody picking everybody up, trying to stay positive, trying to do all that. And to me, that's a bigger thing for us long run than had we, anything else that could have happened during the game.
Yeah. Good. So the mindset and the culture is changing just kind of as you wanted it to.
Yeah.
That was a question from last week was, what did you want the mindset to be in the fourth quarter? I mean, that's kind of what you're saying right now. Did you see that out of them? I mean, that's when they scored.
And we told them, I was like, we want to go out and we need to go one drive at a time. Let's try and win the third quarter, the second half. And we did. We came out there. We scored 6. They didn't, and there's plenty of people that are like, well, that was our second team. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I feel like in the past and with other teams that kind of get to that like quitting mentality, they score 43 more points in the second half. And we didn't allow that, and the kids took pride in that. And that's something that we can't get just from practice. Like that's a mindset thing that we've kind of reiterated with the kids throughout the summer. And it really came to fruition, and I was proud of that. And like I said, that's something that we play a Valley or somebody that like we know we can beat. We don't know that about ourselves. You know what I mean? So like now we've got some good stuff coming out of it.
Great. Take me through the flow of the game a little bit. I mean, what did you see early and what changes did you have to make as you came to halftime?
We kind of early on, we had said we were going to run the ball a lot. And when we got out there and kind of saw what they were in defensively, they were off of us. And we threw the first play of the game just because that's something that I kind of have always prided myself on. We're going to come and air it out. So that was like Thursday. I was like, hey, guess what? We're going to throw the first play of the game. And we completed it, and then we went to our run stuff. And really, I thought we were going to be able to run the ball a little bit better. And early on, we did the right thing. Our backs were going to the right place. We were blocking the right way. And they were just a lot more physical, So we ended up throwing the ball a lot more than we wanted to, which I don't know if our receivers were definitely ready for that. It kind of took them a little bit of time kind of getting used to it because we hadn't worked it a ton. But again, it was upbeat and positive. We saw a lot of good things, a lot of things on film that we could kind of correct and that we're going to get better from. And, it was just kind of trying to find what worked. You know what I mean? And then after them stopping us a few times, trying something different and getting that on film and seeing how that worked. And, now we can kind of look at it and we kind of eliminated some things from our offense. We added some things for this week. It was good. It was just try and find something that works against those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we kind of went through a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah. All right. It was a tough test. Yeah. Let's kind of go through the offense and defense a little bit. I mean, what'd you see from your offense, your skill position players, and you talk about your quarterback play?
Yeah. No, I was, going in with a freshman and then also seeing the size and speed at which they were flying around. There was a little bit of like, oh God, what are we going to get? And before the game kept asking him, like, are you nervous? Like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And I know him enough to know like when he is, but he was really super calm on game day. And when we got out there and I was like, I want to get you to throw so you kind of feel like you're in the game, and we completed that first pass, and there was just confidence after that. You know what I mean? The receivers were running good routes for a little bit. Like I said, we found some stuff that we really need to work on, but there was great communication between the two of like the receivers and the quarterback, and kind of getting on the same page, which, kind of is going to translate better going into the year, and it's one of those things where like we really wanted to take some pressure off of him early in the season, and literally by the second drive I was like, all right, we're throwing the ball, we're doing this. And he handled it he was very calm. He didn't get worked up. We made a couple mistakes. There were a couple plays where it was like, that was a freshman throw. That was a freshman read. But for the most part, he played fine. And that's one of the things that like I kind of talked to him, like, I just want you to play fine. If you can give us fine, we can grow from that. Don't give us bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what we did. Like, we got enough out of it, enough that like we as a coaching staff kind of can put a little bit more on his plate this week, and especially with like the defense that we're going to see, and we're going to go. I think we're going to roll. I think we're going to be okay.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's, with hashtag youth movement, how did in general, the younger guys respond to playing at a faster speed?
There was not a couple guys that I really wanted to kind of keep my eye on. Like one of the ones, we had two sophomores on the offensive line that they're both very good linemen, but I know these guys are big. I know they're moving fast, and kind of kept my eye on them to see how they did. And they literally handled their own, one being Carson Singer. Like he did phenomenal. There was a lot of stalemate at the line, which is kind of best case scenario with those guys, but like, I think he'll be able to drive some guys when we start playing teams down here. The other young guy on the line that I was like a little iffy about was Cash Stylen. Didn't know how he was going to do, and he did great. I think there was one play where he kind of blocked the wrong way, but he still blocked the guy. He just went left instead of going right. And then honestly, my biggest surprise on the offensive line, I don't consider him a super young guy. He's a junior, but Friday night was his first football game ever. Gage Rhodes played right guard for us.
All right.
And he did amazing.
Great.
And it's funny because I kept kind of checking in on him during the game of like, hey, how you doing? Like, everything okay? Everything okay? And like, I think it was like the second quarter, and like he was standing on the sidelines, and I go, everything all right? And he just looks at me and goes, Coach, this is awesome. This is so much fun. And like, and again, like we're getting killed at that point, but like seeing that from him, like you kind of realize like, that's why we're here. We're playing a game. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like for him to have his first game and to go against those guys and to hold his own and honestly do very well. Like it was one of those where kind of watching him, like we realized like, oh, he's getting it, you know? So it was a lot of fun.
That's great. Running backs and receivers, how'd the core of running backs do?
Running backs did okay. And it really wasn't anything against them that they did anything wrong. There's a couple plays where we would have liked them to make a different cut or a different read, but Fallon's linebackers they were college level linebackers. Like they saw a hole open and they were in it on our side and they did not give anything. And that's something that like our running backs kind of saw and they were like, wow, they're coming. Yeah. So, and it's nice because we're not going to see that all the time. You're not going to see linebackers that kind of play like that. But they ran okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. I think they kind of saw what they need to do a little bit better. Honestly, Nate Lewis was kind of the star Friday night. Like he ran really well. He had one long run,
37-yard.
Yeah, run, he had a really long run, and then did well with kind of the little runs and blocking and stuff like that. But I was very pleased with them. The wide receivers, they did good. Like I said, we had a couple big completions, but couple little mistakes that now they know that it's stuff that you don't really know until you get into a game situation. Like one instance, we ran curls, and we run that on like third down, where you've got to get to the first down and then hitch up there. So if it's 3rd and 8, you need to run 9 yards. If it's 3rd and 12, you're running 13 yards. You know what I mean? It's kind of that route. And we ran it a little short and didn't realize it was 3rd or 4th down. You know, sometimes we were running kind of to get open, not necessarily to run our right route, and explaining to the kids that if you go to get open, you might be covering the other guy that's running a route. You know, like you've got to do what your job is. Yes, you might be covered, but that means the other guy's going to be open, you know? And it's not a, I think some people kind of thought when I was saying it that I was like saying you're being selfish doing that. It's natural to be like, I'm going to go get open. That's the easy part. The hard part is allowing yourself to kind of do the what you're supposed to do and be covered, to be the team guy for the other guy to get open.
Gotcha.
You know? And I think we understand that a little bit more. Our routes look much crisper. Today we did offense. They looked much better today.
Do you show the film to the guys? So
Yes.
They watch it,
we do.
so they go out and work on
Yeah,
exactly
and we go
what
through, when the coaches, like we'll meet and kind of go through, we will pick a handful of plays. We don't want to go through like the whole thing, but really like the wide receiver coach will take notes on what they need and kind of talk through and show them what they need to do, what they did wrong. And then we just kind of work it extra that week. You know?
Okay, defensive side of the ball, kind of who popped out as a difference maker? What'd you see on the defense?
Defensively, when we were going against their ones, the guy that really stood out to me was Otis Ruth. And he's an undersized linebacker. When you see him out there, you're like, really, where shouldn't he be with the safeties or something? But he comes up, and Otis has that like wrestling, just
he's tough,
one speed mentality, you know, and he goes hard and he fills the gap, and it's you don't have to coach him up on that. He's just kind of natural with it. He stays low when he tackles. It's like he's doing a takedown every time he tackles somebody. He's super low to the ground. But he looked great against their number ones. You know what I mean? He was the one guy that definitely stood out and was in the right spot and kind of flying around. When we got into their twos, that's when I feel like some of our other guys started to show what they can do. You know, and it wasn't that they couldn't do it against the ones. It was just those guys were good. You know, but Cody Ayton did great. He had a couple sacks. I think Otis had a sack too. Our linebackers started to play better a little bit later into the game. I think a lot of it too was like first game jitters, and like we just had that first quarter was just a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a lot to take.
We weren't really on the defensive side of the ball a lot because we gave up 3 quick scores, and like I said, like those are things we don't want to have. But it was one was like an alignment issue. If we're just aligned differently, I don't think they score. The other one was like kind of a miscommunication in the coverage, where if we're in our coverage, yeah, they might complete the pass, but we're going to be back there, but we were kind of in the wrong spot. So it was that little kind of young guy growing pain stuff that kind of, next thing you know, we're down 20-0. But it's stuff that we can grow on and go with, you know?
Yeah. So we knocked all the rust off, and we're ready to go at our home opener.
There's no more rust,
okay,
I think.
Lastly, I mean, after the game, what was your message in the locker room to the guys?
My message to the kids was like, I'm very proud of them. You know, that was the one thing that, like, you know, you think after a loss like that, there's going to be screaming and yelling and, you know, all of that. And like, that's not what we wanted from the game. And that's not what we got. We got kids that really didn't quit. We made mistakes, and mistakes are going to happen. We had stuff where we were in the right spot, but they were bigger than us and they moved us. You know what I mean? So it was more about the attitude and the way we carried ourselves that really was, I was proud of that, you know, and I think, and I tried to explain to the kids that like, we need to take pride in that. That's going to be more of a quality we need throughout the year than the other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're going to get down in games. It's, you know, the other team's practice. They're going to score touchdowns. We can't let them score and then we just stop playing. We need to get mean and upset and stop them the next drive. And I feel like that's what we saw from our kids this week, which was great.
How was the environment up there? I heard that's kind of a hostile place to play. Like their fans come out. And
honestly, everybody in the town was there. Like their side was absolutely packed.
Yeah.
You know, when we were up there the day before, almost everybody we ran into was like, "Oh, you're the team. We'll see you at the game tomorrow." You know, they were there. They were very loud. The one thing I will say is, and I feel like it's a very much a Boulder City kind of town where they were, you know, they were up there. They wanted to see us fail, and they wanted to kick our butts. However, they were the nicest people ever. You know what I mean? And like super polite and very hospitable. The staff up there, the school, the administration, everybody was amazing. You know, and I'm looking forward to next year when they come down by us to kind of
do the same thing,
repay that in every way, where we're going to be super nice, and then we're going to kick your butts on the field. You know what I mean? So
lure them right in and then knock them down. Well, speaking of kids that don't quit, can we ask you some questions from your Pee Wee team?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into the Sunrise Mountain, I asked all of your Pee Wee players for some questions this week in practice, and I'm going to warn you, they're coming from all directions here.
All right,
but you did tell the team that you would answer all of them.
I would answer all of them.
You can't pass on any of these. All right. All right. Forrest would like to know, were you a professional football player?
I was not a professional football player. I was not. No, just high school and college. That was it. Sorry, Forrest, to disappoint you.
David would like to know, what happens when you get horse collared?
What happens? Well, it's a penalty, and you could definitely hurt somebody. I think that's funny because we've talked about that, and I know they don't know what a horse collar is.
They don't know.
Awesome.
But they want to know. You got to teach them that. Hayden, a hard hitter, would like to know, who is the hardest hitter on the team?
Ooh, hardest hitter on our team. I think it could be a toss-up between – wait, on the Pee Wees or the high school?
Yeah, on the Pee Wee team.
Oh, on the Hayden, for sure.
Really?
Hayden and Andrew.
Okay.
Hayden and Andrew, they hit. Zay might be our best tackler, but those two are our best hitters, for sure.
Again from Forrest, why are you a football coach?
Why am I a football coach? I am a football coach because football is literally the most fun thing that I've ever done. And because I'm old and didn't go pro, Forrest, thanks for rubbing that in, it's the one thing I can be around it forever. You know what I mean? I get to do it all the time.
Yeah. Kind of along the same lines, Abe would like to know, why do you like football so much?
I think football is a game that most represents life. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fair. You've got to try and do your best, and everything you're doing, there's people that are literally getting in your way and trying to stop you. And sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose, sometimes you're going to get knocked on your butt, but you got to get back up and you got to try it again. And I think it's the most closest thing you can have to like an analogy to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sports-wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Brennan, why did you make a third grade tackle team?
I made a third grade tackle team so that by the time those kids are in 12th grade, they are amazing. Okay. That's why.
We're setting them up. We're setting them up for the future, Brennan. Oliver, my son, would like to know, who is your favorite player besides Zay, your son?
My favorite player besides Zay would probably be Barry Sanders.
Okay. All right. Good answer. That's crazy. Oh, I think that's one of our questions, too, is who's your favorite player. But, okay. So this one came from JJ. Good luck with this one. Do you have any Skibbity, Aura, Riz?
I've got an abundance of all three.
All three?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I pride myself on my Skibbity, Riz,
Aura.
And Aura. Yeah, like
that's hard to have
you're welcome.
All three. So.
I don't know which camera's on me if we go to the main one. I got it.
And a lot of it. Oliver, what's your favorite sport besides football?
Baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Remington, how did you get a job being a coach?
That's one of those things where I think anybody can be a coach. It's just a matter of you got to not love money. I think that's the biggest thing. If you want to be a coach, you have to not love money. Those two things cannot go together.
Okay.
And you just need to be involved and take shots, show up places, and ask them if you can help, and then keep showing up.
Yep. Legend, what was the first team you played on, football team?
First football team I ever played on was the Buffalo Grove Bills.
Okay.
And I was on the team was called the Midgets. We were a 75-pound weight limit.
Yep. Third graders?
Third grade. I was in third grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Martinez, last question. Why is your dog so big? I don't know how he knows your dog, but
he's been to the house and he walked in the back room and there were some very choice words when he saw our dog in the back room. And for as big and mean as that kid is on the field, he was terrified.
Okay. I think that's all he can remember from your house. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for that, and that was fun. We're going to talk about Sunrise Mountain now. Again, this week, home opener, Sunrise Mountain coming to town. They are 0-1. They lost 48-0 to Democracy Prep last week. First season head coach. They have some skill players. I know you've seen some film on them. I'm looking at some strengths and weaknesses here, but when you look at them, what's the first thing that kind of stands out to you?
So they've got a new head coach this year. They had a guy named Chris Sawyers, who I've known for a long time, and coached against it. He was at a bunch of different schools. But now they've got a new coach. And like the one thing that when you see a team with a new coach, you don't really know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? Because it's a new program. It's a new offense. It's a new defense. Watching what they did on film, you could tell it was kind of their first game. And really like running kind of some basic stuff. But they've got athletes. I think we match up really well against them. They've got a few kids, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that are game changer kind of disruptors that we're going to do what we can to kind of run away from them. One of the things I kind of do when we watch film is we kind of find the best guy and the worst guy and do what we can to kind of take the best guy out of the game by not running directly at him. We will at times, but really like make it so he's got to work to make a play. And we really try and find their worst guy, and we run as much stuff at that guy as possible. And they've got a couple guys that we really want to stay away from on their defensive side of the ball. Number 52, he's a defensive end. He also plays line. He's a really good wrestler. I think he's only a junior this year, but he's a big kid. He moves really well. So we've got our hands full with him.
On the defensive side?
On the defensive side.
So that's, I think, Roman Pulafasania.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
Yeah. I would guess that's what his name
okay.
is. I doubt the pronunciation is correct.
I didn't get that right. But
pretty much.
Yeah.
And then the offensive side of the ball, they've got speed. They kind of spread you out and try and use a little bit of misdirection. They're a team that their quarterback will run the ball, will throw the ball, and it's something that we actually do well against with our defense. And I think we've got a good plan going into the game. And same thing offensively. I think we've got some stuff that we haven't really shown, that we really couldn't show against Fallon, that we can come out and spread the ball around. You know what I mean? I think we can throw the ball this week, kind of the underneath stuff. The way they kind of line up on defense, I think we can run the ball, especially if we're running away from 52, and that's one of the things that we're going to try and do. But I think we're going to look more like an offense this week and not like 11 dudes struggling against our big brother.
Okay. Size-wise, good matchup on the line.
Much
on the
better.
line
They've got some big boys, but it's not that like 6'6", 220 skinny, ripped, long guys.
Yeah.
They've got some bigger, stockier boys. They've got some weight there, but they're not huge. You know what I mean? And the thing with Fallon too, those big guys also moved really well. When we get into playing some of the schools that have the big guys out here, it's huskier guys. They don't move as well. You know what I mean? And like that's kind of what we're going to get. They've got a decent defensive line, but we'll be able to move them.
What do you see as your biggest opportunities to attack the defense?
I think our quick passing game stuff, kind of getting the ball out quick. I think with our like spread stuff, we could run the ball a little bit this week because they kind of widen out when we widen out, which opens up some holes inside to be able to run the ball. And I think our running backs do a good job with the spread running because they kind of get to cut and make their own holes. Like it's not like you don't have to run to this hole. You're going this way, but if there's a hole up here, you can cut in. And our guys are very good at that, So I think that's one of the things that we'll be able to showcase, and we can kind of get 4 or 5 guys carrying the ball this week to kind of start building some yardage, And with that too, I think we can run the ball in order to throw the ball and vice versa. I think you'll see that we'll be able to start doing a little bit of both now.
Okay. What's the biggest point of emphasis in practice from week 1 to week 2?
It's really, and it's been something that we've talked about all year, and all for 3 years. You've got to do your job. On every play, all 11 guys have a job to do. You've got to execute your job. Don't worry about the guy next to you. You do your job, things will work. We get into a habit of I'm going to help this guy. No, but now you're not doing your job. You know, same thing like I was talking about with the routes before, where if you run your route to get open, now you're making it so that guy's covered. And now the quarterback can't read because you're not where you're supposed to be. Same thing with the line, where you've got to be blocking this guy, but now I'm helping back over here, but now the guy you were supposed to get to gets in. You know what I mean? And defense, that's even a bigger deal on defense because everybody's got to be in the right spot. And that's kind of been the thing that we've talked about all week is you've got to be in the right spot and you've got to move at 100%. You know, every single play, you can't, 80% doesn't cut it. You know, and I think that was one of the things we kind of learned this week that we had been kind of harping at the kids throughout the summer, that we need to practice at full speed because when it comes game time, you can't just turn it on. And you could tell that Fallon practiced at 100% because that first play of the game, they were flying around and we were trying to kind of rev up to 100, you know, and that's something that we really focused on this week. And we took like kind of baby steps yesterday and today. Tomorrow we'll have another full practice where we'll really emphasize like we've got to be flying around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same thing you said to the third graders, do your job.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's kind of a...
It's very, and like that's, you go to like anything you watch with like Bill Belichick,
Yeah,
like
so I was
he
just
talks
gonna
about
say
it
the
all the time.
Patriots, do your job.
And that's,
yeah.
it really is something that is like stuck with me, that like the game is very complicated when you look at it as a whole. But when you go to each individual position, like everybody's got a job. And like it's hard to understand if you're not a football person, but like when you watch a game, you can watch one position and they've got a job to do on every play. And if you and your group of guys on that side of the ball do your job, you're going to be successful. If you don't, they always kind of find that one guy that didn't. You know what I mean? Like it's an easy tell. Like whenever play breaks down and something happens, you can always tell what guy didn't do his job.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure. What's the team's overall health coming into week 2?
We got a few guys out this week. Our defensive line is kind of depleted. It's nothing horribly serious. It's just kind of dinged up that they're not going to be able to go. One of them we might get back in Joseph McLeod. He had like a shoulder trap kind of thing. He might be back. Cody Ayton, his hand, he had an issue with like the skin under his hand. It was ugly and gross. So he can't wear a cast, so he's out this week. And then we lost our kicker, Cash Daly. Still don't know exactly what the diagnosis is, but like his hip is really bad. So
that's too bad. He's a good kicker.
Yeah, so he's out for the foreseeable future. We'll kind of find out what's going on with some doctor stuff. But everybody else is healthy. We're a little dinged up. We had to take care of some guys during the week and sit some guys out of a couple drills and stuff like that. But that's what happens now once you start playing the games. You know what I mean? Yeah. As of Friday, we do not have 40 healthy kids anymore. You know what I mean? And it's a matter of like who can kind of recuperate and take care of themselves and get themselves ready to play next Friday.
Yeah.
You know?
So important to be a backup player. I mean,
right,
you'd be
exactly.
ready to go.
Yeah.
Because you never know. So are there any players shifting around positions or anything this week? Anything major?
I think we're going to focus and emphasize a couple guys that really didn't get as much time as they should have on Friday, but we're doing some stuff to make sure they do. I think Cohen Burrows is one that he's going to play a little bit more, especially at fullback for us this week. Get him a couple carries. We didn't really get a chance to utilize Brandon Hobbs as much as I wanted to, so we put in a package that's kind of specifically for him, so hopefully we get a little bit with that. Defense, we're not really moving guys around. We're going to try a few guys at some different spots and just kind of see what's going on, mostly in the secondary. But we're not changing a ton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, too, where it was a bad loss, but it wasn't this, like, horrible situation where, oh, my God, we're awful. We need to push guys to do better.
Yeah.
And I think by trying some other guys at different spots, it kind of pushes those guys that were there to do better, you know, and that's what I want. I don't want to be yanking guys out. You can't do this anymore. It was 1 week. You know what I mean?
Right.
So give them a shot and really like push them with some competition and see if we get a better result this week.
Yeah. And hard not to be pumped up playing at home for a home opener.
100%.
And, you know, they should come out with some energy. Do you have kind of an X factor for the week that could tilt the game? Is there one matchup that you see?
I think it's our offensive line this week. I think if they can do what we were able to do today in practice, I think kind of Trey Adams is that guy that if he has a good game and is able to get to the linebackers like we want him to, I think we can break some runs. And I'm not even saying like long 80-yard touchdown runs. Like, we're shooting for 4 yards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's where we're at. And I think our backs, once we get to that 4 yards, I think we're shifty enough and we run hard enough that we could turn 4 yards into 10, 15. You know what I mean? And that's his best. That's the best we're hoping for. Anything longer than that is like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like Nate's run on Friday. Like, holy cow, I didn't know if we were going to do that all year, you know? Yeah. So that was great.
Yeah, good. How important is the home crowd and the Friday night setting to kind of set the tone for this game?
I think it's huge for us. You know, I think especially the first home game, and kind of talking to the kids too, like we kind of set the tone for the year. You know, everybody's got that. We haven't won a game in a long time. We've lost 7 in a row or 6 in a row or whatever last year.
At home.
And then we lose this one. That, like, coming home, like, we need to give the fans something to be excited about, you know, and it's the first game at home this year. We always get a pretty good crowd, but I was like, we got to go out and show that we can play football so they want to come back, because being at home at Boulder City is a huge home field advantage. Like, that place is rocking, you know, and with the new scoreboard and the things we've got planned with the scoreboard and the music and stuff like that, like, we want it to be a party atmosphere, but you know, we play bad, then it turns into a funeral atmosphere. You know what I mean? So like, we want it to be a good party, not a wake. You know what I mean? So we've got everything set up good. It's just, we've got to execute and we've got to play to make it a party, you know?
Okay. Anything else to add to this week? I mean, I have another fun segment here for you. It's kind of our Eagle superlatives.
Yes.
Where we're going to give away some awards, and then I'll kind of let you add anything you want to
let's
the
hear
game
it.
here.
Let's try.
All right, so most likely to...
Wait, do I have to answer super fast, or can I think a little bit
No, this is
here?
you can think. Yeah, this is not rapid fire. There's only about 10 of them. First, or most likely to forget their helmet in the locker room?
Most likely to forget their helmet. I'm going to go with Alex Scroggins, because he's already left something in the locker room multiple times. Yeah, that was an easy one.
Most likely to celebrate a 5-yard gain like it's a touchdown?
Asa Mariani.
Okay. Most likely to trip during warm-ups?
Most likely to trip during warm-ups. I'm going to go with Christian Reed on that one.
Most likely to get caught flexing in the mirror at the gym?
Probably
a lot of those.
Luke Jappy for sure. I wouldn't say at the gym, just in any mirror in general. I think Axel Campbell could kind of throw into that too, just based on his brother. I have multiple pictures of his brother flexing in the gym and ruining his selfies in the gym and stuff like that. Also, you got to throw in the other two that literally, as I'm saying this right now, are probably both flexing in a mirror together in Brody Hopkinson and Jolton Swoop.
Most likely to forget the play and just wing it?
That's a lot of guys. I would say forget the play and just wing it. I'm going to go with a running back on this one. I would say Aiden Armstrong, because we only put him in for like one play. And like, it's the sweeps, but anything else, he just kind of wings it.
Yeah. That might work. Most likely to fall asleep on a bus ride home? Probably everybody on the last bus ride home.
Yeah, everybody was out extremely early.
Yeah, that was a long ride. So, and lastly, most likely to eat all the post-game pizza before anyone else?
Trey Adams.
Trey.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that kind of wraps up our show. I have a little closing here. But is there anything you want to add to this
No,
week?
I just really hope everybody kind of comes out and checks out what we've got. Like, I am very happy and proud of this team. You know, going up there, you know, you get the connotation like, oh, they got their butts kicked. We did and we didn't. You know what I mean? I think there's some good things that you're going to see from us this year, and I think it really starts this week. And we want people out there. I think it's, you know, Boulder City is the best place to play and be for a home game, and please come out and check it out.
Yeah, no, that's great. I want to add to that too. And I mean, Friday night, 7:00 game time. That's when we kick off. There's usually a line to get in. There's an app that you need to use to buy the tickets.
Hometown tickets.
Hometown tickets. Make sure you get those early, and you get there early enough to kind of get in and see the guys running out of the tunnel. I mean, that first 5 minutes of the game is awesome, fun to watch, and I do really want the stands to be packed. And You know, we had a volunteer night where all the parents and everybody came out and cleaned the whole place and just made it look awesome. The boosters are helping with the food and the T-shirts and everything. I mean, it's really coming together. So big night Friday night, Boulder City. Kickoff at 7 p.m. sharp. Good luck this week, Eagles, and Coach Bubba. Thank you all, as always, for being here with us tonight. It's an honor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
All right.